Lacrosse has been called the fastest game on 2 feet. It's a thrilling blend of team play and individual skills, of football's rough and tumble, basketball's speed, hockey's finesse. A game that demands of its players great powers of stamina, courage and strength, dexterity and intelligence. Yet this game of precise techniques, governed by a well-defined code of laws, evolved from a highly ritualized tribal game the North American Indians invented and practiced long before the white man came to their land. The Indians played the game not only as a recreation, but as a means of training their braves for war. It was an all-in affair in which hundreds took part. Death, loss of limb, or other severe injury was quite common, as this old woodcut of a tribal contest suggests. Each player carried a stick in which a pocket was carved at one end to hold a ball. The stick was about 3 feet long. The ball was called a bagataway, and this was the game's original name. The object of this sometimes mortal combat was to score points by carrying the ball on the stick across a goal line. A French missionary, Jean de Brebeuf, noting the similarity between the shape of the stick and a bishop's crozier, renamed the game Lacrosse. Lacrosse first met with popularity in Canada in 1856, when the Iroquois Indians introduced it as a field sport, and French and English settlers formed lacrosse clubs to play the native Indians. New playing rules have developed since those early days. A team now consists of 10 players, with a maximum of 5 substitutes. There are 3 defense players, a center, 2 midfielders, 3 attack players, and, of course, a goalkeeper. The game is now played in many countries: Canada, where it is the national sport, the United States, Britain, Hong Kong, and Australia. Lacrosse came to Australia in 1874. A Mr. Mount, an immigrant from Canada, introduced the game to a group of boys in a Melbourne park. From this humble beginning, it spread through the continent in the 1880s to Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane, to the West Australian goldfields and Tasmania. Here are some early Australian players in action. Games between the states began unofficially in 1887 when a Sydney team visited Brisbane and Victoria sent a team to South Australia. The first official interstate, or more correctly, intercolonial matches commenced in 1888. This is the Queensland team of 1906. This Canadian team toured Australia in 1907, giving the local players their first taste of international competition. The Canadians played in all states, winning 9 of 10 matches, though the Australians proved worthy opponents. The tour revolutionized lacrosse in Australia. The local players learnt much from and quickly adopted the visitors' more polished techniques and tactics. Until several years ago, Australian players have had few opportunities for overseas competition since that first visit. But recently, an Australian team had a successful world tour, coming second in the World Series to the USA. The game's main strength, locally, is maintained through the All-States Championships. The champion team each year wins the coveted Garland-McHarg Cup, pictured here. The cup is named after its donors, Mr. Garland, a Canadian, and Mr. McHarg, an Australian. They jointly gave the cup after the 1907 Canadian tour. Now, for the benefit of newcomers to the game, let's see how lacrosse is played, what equipment is required, and the fundamental laws governing the play. The playing field is a rectangular area, 110 yards long and 70 yards wide. The rectangle's longer sides are called sidelines, and the shorter sides are known as the end lines. A line drawn to the sidelines in the field center is called the offside line, in the middle of which is a cross called the center. The overall size of the cross must not exceed 2 feet. 20 yards on each side of the offside line, and parallel with it, a broken line is drawn right across the field. These are called the end restraining lines. The part of the field at each end enclosed by the end lines, the side lines, and the end restraining lines are designated end areas. Lines extending 10 yards on each side of the offside line, 20 yards from the center and parallel with the sidelines, are the side restraining lines. The territory between these and the sidelines is called the side areas. The goal creases are circular lines drawn with a radius of 9 feet around a center 40 yards from the offside line on an imaginary line through the center. Goal crease penalty spots are marked with a cross 30 feet on each side of the goal crease centers. Our bench area, 40 yards long, 7 yards wide, is adjacent to one of the sidelines. Within this are 2 other rectangular markings, each 9 feet by 3 feet. One is the substitution area, occupied by reserve players. The other is the penalty area, to which penalized players must retire. Goals are erected 80 yards apart in the goal crease areas. The goal face, 6 feet square, is formed by 2 uprights joined by a rigid crosspiece with the ground forming the 4th side. Supporting posts extend at an angle from the top of the uprights to the ground, not more than 4 feet or less than 3 feet from the goal face. A cord or wire net covers the sides and back of this frame. The ball, of white natural rubber, is 8 to 8 1/4 inches in circumference, weighs between 5 1/4 and 5 1/2 ounces, and must be able to bounce between 34 and 36 inches when dropped from a height of 46 inches. This is the cross or lacrosse stick. It may be of any length from 3 to 6 feet. Observe that the netted section forms an approximate triangle. Just below the triangle's apex, called the throat, woven cross strings make a bridge. This is essential to prevent the ball from jamming in the throat. Playing uniform consists of shirt or jersey, numbered on the back and, if desired, on the chest, shorts, long socks, and approved footwear. Goalkeepers may wear tracksuit trousers. All players should wear protective equipment, helmet-type headgear, face masks, and gloves. Goalkeepers wear, in addition, a front body pad extending from the neck to just below the crutch. All the techniques and tactics of lacrosse aim for one end, for a team to put the ball into the opponent's goal as often as possible and to prevent it from going into their own. A game is of 100 minutes, divided into 4 25-minute quarters, with 1-minute intervals between first and second and third and fourth quarters, and 10 minutes at half-time between second and third quarters. At the beginning of each quarter, and after each goal is scored, play begins with a face-off between the 2 center players. Note the other players' positions at face-off. All must remain behind their restraining lines until the referee blows his whistle to start play. They may then cross the lines, but each team must maintain 4 players in the defense area and 3 players in the attack area. Substitute players must remain in their section of the bench area until required. At face-off, the 2 centers, each facing the opponent's goal, put the backs of their stick nets together. The referee places the ball between them, then blows his whistle to start play. Each center attempts to win possession by securing the ball himself or directing it to a teammate. As in all team games, every lacrosse player has a duty to his team and himself to know the rules thoroughly. A later film in this series, and your coach, will help you to fully understand the laws. To guide you at this stage, it's necessary only to list briefly these basic rules. No attacking player may enter the goal crease. The goalkeeper may not re-enter the crease while carrying the ball, nor may any defender enter it while in possession. The goalkeeper is the only player who may touch the ball with his hand. In protecting his goal, he may hit the ball away with his hand, or block it with his body, cross, or hand. but he may not catch or hold the ball in his hand. A player losing his cross during the game is automatically out of play until he recovers it. The ball is out of bounds when it crosses a side or end line, or when a player in possession touches the ground over a boundary line. The referee awards a free throw at the point where the ball crossed the line. The award is against the team whose player last touched the ball, and the player nearest to where it went out takes the throw, except after a shot for goal, when the player nearest the boundary is given possession. A face-off is taken 20 feet from the boundary, opposite where the ball crossed the line, when it's not clear which side caused the ball to go out. No player may interfere with the progress of an opponent not in possession of the ball. An offside situation occurs when fewer than 3 attack players are on the opponent's side of the field, or fewer than 4 defense players are in their own half. This breach incurs a penalty varying in severity from a free throw against the offending side to a 30-second suspension of the offside player, who must remain in bench area's penalty section for the period. This film has served to introduce you to the game of lacrosse. You're ready now to proceed to the study of techniques and strategy, and to more detailed understanding of the rules.